Today's video is sponsored by our good friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Hey, why don't you tap into the Florida market on toys and comics and games? And our friends at PGX Grading Services, the Gen X place to get your comics graded and in case shipping nationwide. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename YouTube Hero 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shibu Are You, where we're going to switch gears and dive into the world of Transformers once again. My regulars know that I often like to mix things up by looking at all Gen X 80s iconic franchises. And one of the cool benchmarks that I've been looking at and collecting is the reissue of G1 action figures or toys, or however you want to break them down. And what is kind of interesting and also a pain in the butt at the same time is they've all been mostly Walmart exclusive. So unless you're paying attention, or a lot of us are in the watch other Transformer YouTubers like Rodimus Primal, Patriot Prime Toys and stuff like that. And I always recommend definitely watching their channel for more in-depth and thorough Transformers history. But this Energon transfer in the comics presents a cool opportunity of linking both franchises, and that's where I think in the future that's where this channel is going. We're going to serve as the link between Transformers and GIJOE. And this character that we're going to feature, a lot of people forget that this is the first Transformer that transformed, taking on Earth mode in Transformers from the Sunbow cartoon. Now, another side note is, just like in GIJOE, there's different mythos. There's the, like, for example, GIJOE has the Marvel Hama verse, and then you have the Sunbow cartoon verse, and then all the other stuff that is not coming from Larry Hama, and also Deke. We have to throw that in there as well. So those are like three different things, and the Transformers are just as nuts, even more nuts. Like, of course, you have the Marvel, then you have Sunbow, DreamWorks cartoon comics, and now IDW run, and now everything is going into Skybound. And while the GIJOE comics from IDW, as far as attention and sales, didn't get the correct love from the fans, the Transformers did. IDW Transformers comics were always bestsellers. And surprisingly, My Little Pony was not that far behind. So going back to this character, I think it's one of the ones that I absolutely love. With GIJOE and Transformers, there's a common element of jets and airplanes. I mean, I'm working on restoring the Conquest right here. Then we have the iconic Cobra Rattler, which, again, Cobra Rattler for GIJOE. And then you have Power Glide. So, again, a lot of the same players are cross. So I always found that to be interesting. So this character we're going to take a look at is none other than Skywarp, another of the Seekers. Now, they haven't really issued all of the Seekers. It's always been Starscream. So you would think that this would be a no-brainer to reissue a Skywarp, but you also have to think about the copyright issues, Thundercracker and Skywarp. So for a long time, they lost a lot of the copyright names to a lot of the characters. Same thing with GIJOE, the same problems that arose for us. So they finally were able to secure the copyright for Skywarp once again. That is why we're seeing him after so many years. And this thing is absolutely beautiful. I love black and purple combination. That's one of my favorite color combinations, along with black and red. Rutgers University. But at the same time, I love Skywarp. And there's a little bit more to Skywarp. The Skywarp evolve into another character when we watch Transformers the movie. These are all big questions that surround Skywarp himself. So we're going to take a look at the figure as well as talk about Skywarp a little bit more. The other thing I wanted to throw in is the F-15. You know, the 80s, there were two planes. There was the Concorde and the F-14. But I'm going to tell you how one simple display changed the life of both the F-14 and F-15. We'll talk a little bit about that later in the video. And you'll be surprised how one international decision changed everything and why the F-15 is still a major player and has been updated to take on fifth generation jets. So let's take a look at Skywarp. Alrighty, so here is the packaging for Skywarp, and again it follows all the other lines with this new windowless packaging. So we've seen this with Transformers, we've seen this with GIJOE. GIJOE guys can attest to that. Star Wars Black Series, Marvel Legends. This is kind of what they've been doing, and for some reason only Walmart, these are all Walmart exclusives for some reason. Target or Amazon really haven't gotten any of these G1 releases, which is good and bad at the same time, but depends on if you're not keeping up with it. Like I know I'm dealing most with the G.I. Joe side, but unless you're like in the Transformers world where they are always up to date on these releases, you're going to miss out. And like I said, these have been jacked up to double the original listing price, so especially for Skywarp. So I know there's going to be a few more G1 releases. They have Insecticons, Perceptor, a 40th anniversary of Soundwave, and a 40th anniversary of Blaster. Both Soundwave and Blaster, the 40th anniversary ones, are going to be issued in their G1 packaging. So it's going to be reminiscent to that. So make sure to get on that if you haven't, and take advantage of that, because once they're gone, these things have been quadrupling in the aftermarket, in the secondary market. So it pays to be get the Walmart app. Actually, that's how I was able to stay on top of this. But let's look at the back. So the back also, they're pretty much universal as well. And just to point out, your tech spec sheet is just like with the G.I. Joe when they released the G.I. Joe figures, the retro figures, I should say. It is significantly reduced. Before it used to be a lot more, but now a lot of the features have been cut. And also that red little thing, that the sliding ruler that they used to have, that's gone. So the tech spec sheet is just basically this, and with the blue that you could easily see. All right, so let's take a look at Skywarp. So basically this is the packaging. Again, the instructions, no stickers anymore. They have been taken out with this line, or already applied. They have the missiles, just like G.I. Joe Classified and Marvel Legends, the exact same saving on plastic packaging. Alrighty, so here is the contents of Skywarp, which is nothing new or surprising if you are indeed a GenXer and you're used to the Seeker. So basically it's the Starscream mold, nothing new here. But what I love, especially when you handle modern toys, is that feel of that die-cast metal. Even though I have several G1 from the 80s, it's still nice to just pick up that new die-cast metal. I mean, all the ones that we have are from the 80s, so just that feeling of holding it in your hand, you know, there's some weight to it. You know, modern day toys can't hold a candle up to the stuff from the 80s. I mean, that goes without saying. But this just feels like something with substance. I get that. Even that's what's cool about this Walmart retro line, is that you're able to get that feeling once again. And I know some people have been knocking it with the packaging and stuff. And, I was lucky to get the initial waves where they did come in their vintage packaging. And the changeover to this homage to the movie, whatever. I mean, I like the box ones because I keep the ones on display, as you guys can see over here. Like, those are most of them are the reissues. So, it's cool to have those boxes on display. But when it comes to Transformers, man, I just want to crack open them and just touch them and play with them. So this is good to have. So let's get this guy assembled. And here is Skywarp in his F-15 mode. And wow, I don't care how many times they use this mold, Skywarp still looks absolutely stunning. Wow. As a kid, I had Starscream, Thrust, and I had Skywarp, but I think what happened was I lost Skywarp at school. So I only had Skywarp for like a few months. And then once I lost him, I didn't dare tell my mom and dad, because I would have gotten, Indian parents, they'll beat the shit out of you. So you white kids are lucky. Brown parents, they'll beat the shit out of you that I lost it. I took it to school, A, B, and then B, that I lost it. So I never told them. So sadly, I only had Skywarp for a few months. But still, so I was very determined to be reunited with Skywarp here, because I love red and black comic, anything red and black, or black and red. But this is absolutely stunning. Of course, this is based off of the F-15E Eagle aircraft. Alrighty, so let's reunite the Seekers. Skywarp, Thundercracker, and Starscream. How sweet is that? Wow. It's just the 80s nostalgia, everything. That first wave, remembering what it was like when Transformers first came out, and the disappointment of getting a GoBot. Because this is what everybody wanted. The planes, the cars, it's absolutely beautiful. That looks pretty cool. All right, so now let's transform them into their robot mode. Alrighty, I'm going to actually, before I transform them into their robot mode, I wanted to point out a few things. Again, since most of the people that watch this are G.I. Joe fans and not Transformers fans, I figured I'd point this out. Now, there's a big difference between all of these three. The two on the outside are this latest wave, this homage to Transformers, the movie. Now, this one was the first reissue, and this was a carbon copy of the 1984, the first Seekers. You have the rub-in decal where that's missing on these two. Also, the stickers. They're missing the one on the nose, as well as the ones on the intake manifolds. You see that? See, Starscream has it, but Skywarp and Thundercracker do not. There's a way around that. You could go to toyhacks.com and get the stickers to and I use him all the time with G.I. Joe and Transformers. Toy Hacks is the go-to for everybody. pick up the sticker sheet for Skywarp and Thundercracker. I'm about to do that. The other big difference, and it was incorporated with the Starscream and with the two other Seekers, is their spring-loaded rockets. Back in the 80s, they were a lot shorter. They were like little things that probably came extended out to where I'm pointing right here. They elongated all of them because of the choking hazard and all that, politically correct nonsense. That's not a big deal. It does look stupid, but at the same time, there is a safety reason why they changed that. I mean, back in the day, they were like little tiny things. So it's just the going with the times. Alrighty, so I have to do this before we do transform these guys into their robot mode. And the old question that every Gen Xer, who is Cyclonus? Is Cyclonus derived from Skywarp or Thundercracker or Bombshell from the Insecticons? That's one of the many mysteries of Transformers Generation 1 from the movie. I know that there's a couple Transformer YouTubers have fully dived into this theory, and I would be remiss to not point that out. I would like to say that I think, in my opinion, despite what we saw in Transformers the movie, I think Skywarp is more Cyclonus than, because Thundercracker has evolved into his own entity in the IDW run. He was in that crazy lame-ass Scarlet working with the GIJOE team. He has his really own mythos, but I think Skywarp is one of those Seekers that, according to G1 Marvel type, the Sunbow continuity, again, just like with GIJOE, I look at things from the Sunbow continuity versus the Marvel one, and then, same thing with the comics for Transformers. There's the Marvel run, there's the Sunbow one, and then there's a continuation with the DreamWorks and IDW, and now everything is going into the Energon universe. So that's why I'm kind of doing this video, is because we're going to start off with the Energon universe, doing GIJOE, and of course it blends with Transformers. So those days of having one channel do Transformers and another to do GIJOE is going to be redundant when I cover the comics. There's still going to be a real American hero, the Larry Hama verse, but at the same time, this Energon verse is going to be what's going to be going forward. And you want that, because as a GIJOE fan and as a Transformer fan, because you're bringing, like, so far there's been so much attention to the Energon universe from the mainstream, these modern comic kiddos, and all of that is freaking amazing. I mean, you want these two legacy franchises to intertwine and to live on. GIJOE suffers more than Transformers, obviously, but at the same time, it shouldn't. Like I said, I'm like, a former government auditor, but at the same time, you got to look at this from a marketing standpoint. There's so much stuff here to work with. Why are these people struggling is beyond me. I mean, Star Wars is, as much as I love Star Wars, it is primed to be replaced. This is not a Disney-owned franchise yet. We don't know what's going to happen, but at the same time, it's still like these two IPs are not owned by Disney. So there is a chance for them to evolve and grow and to be relevant in today's world. So I would like to see that happen. Alrighty, so here are all the Seekers transformed into robot mode. And just to point out some differences, again, this is from the original G1 1984 offering versus these modern reissues. Now, here's the difference right now. If you look at Starscream, he had the sticker detail is basically what we're looking at. So you have inlets right here, stickers there. You have it on the thighs as well as on the feet, where these two reissues do not have that. So that's missing those. Again, it's just a quick call or looking up toyhacks.com to get the stickers for these to make it more resemble that of the 1984 offering. But you got to go back, actually, because remember, this is part of the Diaclone line from Japan that came out at the mid to late 70s. So that's what makes these even more impressive, because these are the same molds from something that came out in the mid 70s, and now it's 2023. So you got to put things in perspective, and there's no difference. I like that the feel, you'll see, like when you touch these and feel these, they feel that the same quality, the weight, everything is identical to that of the 80s offering. And you don't see die-cast metal anymore in toys at all. So that's what's really nice about this offering. It's just that whole experience. Like it's all the senses coming together from your childhood, to now, and that's what you're getting when you're getting these. That's what you're connecting with. And there's also same thing with Skywarp as all of the other Seekers. They're all been offered Megatron. This is the original Starscream one from the initial wave of the Walmart reissues that came pre-pandemic, and then basically Thundercracker and Skywarp got the same thing as well. But as I pointed out in the Thundercracker video, the coloring of the gray is a little bit different. I don't know if you could see on camera, but it seems like one is a little bit more whiter. Let me get on top. There you go. It's a little bit more whiter. The Decepticon symbol is a little bit different. So yeah, there's that. The funny thing is, like, trying to get Megatron on the secondary market on eBay is such a pain in the ass. They're so expensive. Like, and I basically gave up, but I actually been targeting the knockoffs that they made. I think they made these in the early 90s. They were making Megatron knockoffs in China and stuff like that. And the one thing with the knockoff for Transformers is not that hard. It's a very big industry of making knockoff G1 Transformers, and the quality is surprisingly really good on a lot of them. So if you're not able to get the official Hasbro reissues, and again, let's be honest, these are for displaying purposes. You're not going to be playing with them. They're not going to be held in the hand for extensive periods of time like our original G1 Transformers were. I mean, we beat the shit out of those things, and a lot of them didn't survive. A lot of these, loose here, loose there. I know my Jetfire, he's had it worse to where Jetfire here, I'll bring him down because it's like, and then you've got, my Galvatron. Like, I have quite a bit, G2, Grimlock. But these reissue offerings are a big hit. Alright, so the next portion, I'm going to talk a little bit about the greatest jet fighter in the history of aviation. When I used to go to Patrick's Air Force Base during audits, it was always a treat to see the F-15 out on the runway. And it is breathtaking in person. I wish I could show or give you that feeling of that awe when you come up to a F-15. Now, the history of the F-15 is actually quite interesting. It does mirror the F-14. And speaking of the F-14, that and the Concorde were the poster childs. They got all the publicity. Think about it, putting a movie poster with Chris Hemsworth. But in the reality, Tom Hanks is the better actor. So also think about putting the Lamborghini and Ferrari, but really the Acura NSX was a better car overall. Performance, reliability, everything. Same thing goes for the F-15. In 1967, the Soviets announced the Foxbat, and America was scared about this aircraft. When you add that with the overwhelming deficiencies of the A4 Phantom being totally outmaneuvered by the smaller, faster MiGs in Vietnam, there was a pressing need for a jet in order to meet the demand of what they suspected the Foxbat and other MiGs were capable of. So McDonnell Douglas got the contract for the F-14, and Northrop Grumman got the contract for the F-14. And also, another big key thing is during the end of the 70s, the Shah of Iran wanted to purchase jets. So there was a fly-off between the F-14 and the F-15. The F-14 won, hence why it is no longer in existence, because all of the F-14s have been scrapped. I mean, not even boneyard scrapped, I mean totally destroyed. There's only a few F-14s left, and they've all been museum grade quality now. So they're no longer, there's none in the graveyards in aviation. So in order to prevent any parts from going out of the country, let's say that. The F-15 has been updated several times and is still in operation today. So that's what makes the F-15 such an amazing aircraft that often doesn't get the proper attention and recognition it so rightfully deserved. The fact that I'm holding something that is still in use all over the world by all of NATO forces, and the F-14 is no longer in existence, is a testament to this aircraft. So that's our little spiel on the F-15. Alrighty, so that does it for our look at the G1 Walmart reissue of Skywarp. Thanks for watching, hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode of Codename New 2. Have a good one.